Welcome to our class today. We'll be talking about HIV/AIDS. In our previous class, we talked about values. So today is about HIV/AIDS. But before we go proper into what HIV/AIDS is, the symptoms, let us consider the meaning of HIV/AIDS. HIV is quite different from AIDS. Now the acronym HIV stands for Human Immune Why AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. AIDS is human immune virus. Why? Human immune virus. Why AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now one comes before the other. HIV is the first stage. What it therefore means is you can't just acquire AIDS. The person acquires HIV and it becomes chronic. That's when that becomes acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now we're going to look at the symptoms and the causes. Now they said HIV, like we said earlier, is the first one. The second one is AIDS. Now let's look at the symptoms of HIV first. Symptoms of HIV. The first one is fever. We have headache. Now, we also have dry cough. Now, why these are not the only symptoms, there are various symptoms, but these are some of the symptoms of HIV. They said fever, headache, tiredness, diarrhea, and dry cough. Now, when the patient begins to notice this, what it means is the person has to go and when you begin to notice all the symptoms put together and many more, it means that there are signs that the person is down with HIV. And the HIV does something to the system that is different from other sickness. Now the HIV destroys the white blood cells of the system. It destroys that cell that is enabled to fight infection. Now every one of us have the white blood cells in our body. This cell is responsible for us to fight diseases, and it comes from what is known as the immune system. Now the immune system is the defense mechanism in our body. It's a defender that defends us from all kinds of sicknesses and viruses. But when someone is down with the human immune virus, it means that the virus goes to fight that white blood cells that enables the person to fight infection, and this leaves the person dangerous to all kinds of diseases. Now it is at this point that the person is said to have AIDS. You cannot rely on your initial symptoms of HIV as AIDS, but it is when the HIV has killed all the cells, all the white blood cells that is used in fighting infection in the body, that the person now goes down with what is known as AIDS. But they go hand in hand, they are together, HIV and AIDS. It's the first stage and it grows to this other stage. Like I said earlier, these are some of the symptoms of AIDS. But when you begin to notice these symptoms of HIV, you now know that if it's not managed, if it is not treated properly, it will now digress to the stage of full-blown AIDS. And when it gets to that point, That means every part of this human immune system that fights virus has been destroyed, and the person is vulnerable to disease. Now, there are some things that we can do that can help us prevent HIV. Very, very important things that we can do that can help us prevent HIV. Now let's look at prevention. I've seen the symptoms of HIV. We will now look at the prevention of HIV. What can someone do to prevent it? And mind you, it is not a disease that can be cured. It's not you can't get a cure for it, but it can be managed. The person can live a lifetime, but it's not a disease that when you take medicine, it's gone, it's all over. No, it can be managed for a lifetime. But before we look at we'll take a look at the preventive measures. Now let's look at the causes. How can one be infected with HIV? It is communicable. It can pass from one person to another. So how is it communicable? First of all, it's through sexual intercourse. That's the first one. One can get HIV through sexual intercourse. Another one is through blood transfusion. Blood transfusion. One can get HIV through blood transfusion. And then it can also be gotten through birth. We'll explain what that means. Mother to child. Now, if a mother that is infected with HIV gets pregnant and he wants to give birth, chances have it that the child is going to give birth, she's going to give birth to, will be infected with HIV. Now, blood transfusion, sexual intercourse, and mother to child infection is another way one can get HIV. One can transmit HIV. And then, aside that, to use of sharp objects of an infected person, unsterilized, sharp objects. Probably you go to the salon to cut your hair, you use a clipper, or you use a razor blade, a knife that has been used by someone who is infected. You run the risk of being infected. Unsterilized sharp objects. Now these are many other ways, and some of the ways people can contact HIV. But you can't get it through coughing. Some persons get scared, and that is what we will also discuss at another class, how to manage the stigma. Some persons might say, okay, somebody has HIV, if the person coughs near me, I can get it. No, you can't get it in those ways. It is through sexual intercourse, blood transfusion, mother to child infection, use of unsterilized sharp objects. These are some of the major ways one can get HIV. But how can we prevent HIV/AIDS? Prevention of HIV/AIDS is what we're going to consider next. Prevention. Abstinence is one way one can prevent. Abstinence is one way of preventing HIV/AIDS. Abstinence. Now, what this means is one should abstain from sexual intercourse. If you abstain from sexual intercourse, there is no way you can get HIV/AIDS. Now, it is important as young adults or as teenagers to be taught sexual education. and in sexual education, it is important for them to know that when they get themselves involved in unprotected sex, they run the risk of being infected with HIV/AIDS. And then the second one, okay, if they cannot abstain, probably they are married, yeah, it is a married person, and the person cannot abstain, or is a young adult that wants to go and try and they cannot abstain. The Civic teaches us that one should be faithful. One should be faithful. And what this means is, if the person should stick to one sexual partner, you should not have more than one sexual partner. By the time you have more than one sexual partner, you run the risk of being infected. If somebody is married, you go and have other sexual partners outside your marriage, you run the risk of being infected with HIV. Another preventive measure is through the use of a condom. Use a condom. Use a condom. The condom helps in preventing HIV. It helps in preventing HIV. And then another thing too that we should take note of too as a preventive measure is we should not use unsterilized objects. Do not use unsterilized objects. Do not use unsterilized objects. Now this is quite important. Whenever we visit the barbing salon or we want to use sharp objects like razor and the rest of them, we should make sure they are sterilized. And then some objects are for personal use. Don't share. There are some objects we are not supposed to be sharing. If it is your razor blade, it is yours and meant for you alone. Don't share it with other persons. So by the time we do not share these sterilized objects, we use our own objects. And even if we want to share sharp objects, we make sure they are sterilized before we use them. You will get to find out that we will be at lower chances of contacting the HIV/AIDS. And then we said this is the ABC: abstinence, faithful, and use of condom. Use a condom. The abstinence, like we said, young adults who are not married, teenagers, they should stay away from sexual intercourse. When they do that, they will not be able to run the risk. They will not be able to run the risk of contacting it. Then, faithful. If someone is married, it is not good to have one or more sexual partners outside your marriage. This person can run the risk of contacting HIV. Then use a condom. If the person cannot hold himself, the person should use a condom. This will help the person to prevent HIV. And then do not use unsterilized objects. These are quite important. Now, how do we know somebody that already has HIV? How do we now manage the person? Now, we said that the HIV does not have a cure. It doesn't have a pill, a medicine, a drug you will take, and then at the end of the day, the person is free from it. But rather, the person can be able to manage it. There are antiretrovirals, AVRs, the person can be taken, and then as time goes on, the person stays alive and living healthy living. Now, somebody that has HIV, there are some certain things the person has to avoid: smoking and drinking of excess alcohol. Because we said earlier that by the time it goes to the stage of AIDS, that means everything in the immune system has been killed. So the person does not really have much in his immune system to fight diseases again. So it is advisable that the person stay away from unhealthy lifestyles, because if the person is living an unhealthy lifestyle, the person runs the risk of dying immediately from it. It can cause death. Now, if the person already has it, people living around them, how can we treat them? Oh, number one, we should not stigmatize. Do not stigmatize. How to live healthy as an HIV patient. First one, maintain a healthy lifestyle. maintain a healthy lifestyle. People around them should not stigmatize them. People around them should not stigmatize them. Now, maintain a healthy lifestyle. Let's talk about that one first. For somebody that is down with HIV, should be careful of what the person does. If the person does not maintain a healthy lifestyle, the person runs the risk of dying very early. So the person has to stay away from excess alcohol, and the person has to check the kind of food he eats. The person has to exercise regularly. And then another one too, this is for people that are living with those people that have HIV. They should not stigmatize. We said you can't get it from, if the person coughs, you can share cups with the person, you can share plates with the person, you can live very well with the person. So don't stigmatize. By the time you start to stigmatize them, this can lead them into depression, and this can cause death. So it is better we show them love. Show them love, show them care. When we show them love and care, they can be able to manage their system, they can be able to manage the disease. We know it's not an easy something. When this disease came out newly, most people were scared. They are just like every other disease. There may be chicken pox. You could just touch the person and you have it in you already. It's that so fast and being communicable. HIV is not like that. We've already shown the ways in which one can contract HIV. But now we're talking about living with such persons. Now we should not be scared, because if we do not share objects with them, we will not get it. We do not share objects with them, we will not get it. And then blood transfusion. Whoever that is going to involve in blood transfusion, we didn't talk about during the preventive method. The person should make sure they screen the blood very well before they do blood transfusion, because this is one of the means to get it. And then mother to child. If your mother has HIV, the mother can pass it on to the child. These are one of the ways of people contacting HIV. But now we're talking about how to live healthy with it, how to manage it. We said the most important thing is that the person should maintain a healthy lifestyle. And then people around them should learn not to stigmatize them. They should learn to live happily with them. They should learn to accommodate them. This will help them to carry on with their life, even if they have this disease. Because by the time you try to stigmatize, it will sink them into depression. And we know depression is not a very good thing. Once someone is depressed, the outcome of it is that the person can easily think of suicide, kill themselves, because there's nothing worth living for again. But rather, we should always make sure we encourage them. We should always make sure they live healthy and live happier. So that is that about HIV/AIDS. We've talked about the meaning. We said it is known as human immune virus. Then AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. And we said it starts from HIV. Person can contact HIV first. When you contact HIV, by the time all the cells, the white blood cells in the body have been destroyed by HIV, it then goes to what is called AIDS. And we were made to understand too that it weakens the immune system. That is why we keep saying immune. The immune system that helps to fight disease in the body, it weakens it and makes the person vulnerable. And then we have also come to see the causes, how one can contact HIV. And then we've also learned how we can prevent HIV and how we can still live with those who have the syndrome already. So that is where we're going to stop for our class. In our next class, we're going to talk about youth empowerment as a topic in Civic. Until then, bye bye, and see you in our next class.